Hi, everybody. It's me, Connor Mead, your favorite comedian that is Connor Mead. I have some dates coming up. On the 22nd, I'm going to be at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle with Kevin James Thornton, and I love his TikTok, and I'm really excited about that. He's the guy with the auto-tune who goes, in the 90s. All right, anyways. And then on that Thursday, we have a show at Firebird Tavern downtown. And then 24th, 25th, I'm featuring for Hans Kim at the new Detroit House of Comedy. So that's really fun. Sunday on the 26th, I'll be at what is it called? One Night Stands. It's my first time ever being there. It's for a benefit show for a guy that's running for office, but he's on the Levin. Sorry, I'm not in. We're rooting for him. 30th, I'm gonna be at Thursday at the Old Miami for the WDET show. Those are always really fun and they sell out, so get tickets for that. And then in July, nothing. No, I have hair removal, laser hair removal, and then I will be at the Croswell. I don't know what that one is. I didn't put enough details in it. I'll probably give more dates later. Sorry, I love you. Bye.
Howdy. What do I look like today, Connie?
Little House on the Lows.
House on the
there it
Lows. Lowe's Hardware. Yeah. And then I'm
Deck set together.
and then I'm gonna pop these flapjacks for you, if you know what I mean.
Hey.
Well, I'll be popping flapjacks all over Michigan. No, just kidding. I don't really have a lot for you guys, but here we go. I will be, the day that this drops, I will be at the Park Theater in Holland for a Pride Variety show. I'm very excited about that one. You can get those tickets on my Linktree if you are hearing this on the West Coast and you're like, hey, I want to fucking support the gays. Well, come on out. I will be there. I'm excited to play a theater. I don't do a lot of those, so... Look at me go, my gay ass with my fucking flannel dress. And then in July, I'm taking a lot of time off. Marissa and I will be going to the UP with our partners, and we're going to be house on the pussy up there, and it'll be fucking fantastic. But I do have a WDT NPR show on July 28th, and I'm sure that Honorary Mentions will have some pop-up comedy shows within the month of July, or maybe Connor and I will take the fucking month off and be rock stars and hire Hailey to be our life coach. I don't know.
Have a pop-up retreat.
That's right. Yeah. And then you can catch me at 313 Comedy at Detroit Shipping Co. every Sunday at 8 o'clock. It is always free. Bye.
Oh, yeah, the Independent Comedy Club also exists.
And the Independent Comedy Club also exists, but I'm like never there. But you can see very funny people there every Friday and Saturday and also Thursday now. So, yeah, click that link tree, bitches.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Each Other's Mothers podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Connor Mead, with your other host, Johanna Madronda. And today we have a very special guest, one of the most badass bitches I've ever met in my goddamn life, Hailey Zureich.
Hey!
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for being here,
always.
baby. Okay, we were talking about grocery shopping and being adults, right?
Yeah.
That's what we were kind of talking about, and then I told everyone to shut the fuck up. Yeah, I feel like, I paid a few bills, I went grocery shopping, I fucking slept in, I said no to someone.
You said no to
Yeah. Well, it was like a reschedule, but
Oh.
I just listened to myself this morning, and I was like, it's just too thin. I've spread it too thin, and I need to
Sometimes
sleep.
you don't need to go to brunch with your friends.
I was cleaning a house, thank you, and making money.
Sometimes you don't got to do that either.
But I kind of love that we've gotten to that stage in the pandemic where before, back when fully vaccinated and it was oh, I'm getting invited to something, I'm going to say yes. Don't you want me to watch your turtle?
Dude.
And I'm there.
I'm so
backyard,
thrilled
whatever.
to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's I used to love, I don't know about y'all, but I used to love to load my schedule and just look at it and be like, it's Wednesday. I worked really hard. I'm canceling everything that I can.
Oh my God, no, I started to agree with you, but no, I could never. That entire thing,
She's just adding more
gives me
things on her
so
throughout
much
her week.
anxiety
It's
to
it's
cancel
Wednesday and I still have 3 more things.
Oh my God, it's insanity. Yeah, it's a Monday today. You usually have Monday and Wednesdays off. Yeah. What a time to be alive, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hailey, so you did mention she's one of the baddest bitches we know, which is actually super true.
Thank you.
100%.
Connor and I started doing comedy 5 years ago almost.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
What's the anniversary? When's it coming up?
Oh, so I never kept track because I started when I was 14. The story.
Like, where was that at?
So I love my origin story so much.
Many, many moons ago.
So I was 14 and I was trying to be cool. It was like I was trying to be cool because 8th grade was really lame, but I wanted my enrollment to high school to be like just one slide off the glasses and missing of the overalls to be like a cool girl.
Yes.
So I was like, how can I be cool? Well, I've got to make friends. Where's a good place to make friends? So I chose bowling club.
Hey.
That's where the cool kids are.
Right?
That's right.
All the cool kids are there. So where I grew up, there was Fountain View Lanes, and they had a Charlie Chaplin's connected to it. And at the time, Chris Rock had just done his special at the Apollo, and HBO had done a mini special where he talked about his journey into comedy and stuff like that.
Before anyone had slapped him.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and he talked about like going to open mics and like building his routine and all that stuff. And so I was like, that sounds so cool to do an open mic. So I'm at bowling, doing terribly. No one likes me. I'm not good at it. And I walk by like a little print-up poster of like, join us Thursdays for open mics in Charlie Chaplin's. And I was like, I want to go there.
Right.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Clinton Township.
Okay. So Charlie Chaplin's was a comedy club?
Yeah. It was like inside of Fountain View Lanes, right on Groesbeck and Canal.
I remember hearing people talk about it.
Yeah.
I went with a recession, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh, dang.
Went
Yeah.
with that with like Joey's and all that other places.
Yeah.
Every single club
And
that
my,
existed
and my
around the
parents'
area.
divorce. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good year.
So yeah, I went and asked to speak with the manager, predating this haircut, and I was like, I'd really like to be on this open mic,
Amazing.
and I was a 14-year-old that looked 14.
Sure.
I was not a 14-year-old that like looked
Like a lollipop.
22. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked wild, and they took one look at me, heard what I said, and they were like, no, and I was like, come on, please,
It's
and
an open mic.
yeah. Well, they were like, you're 14, you're not allowed. And I was
Oh.
like, please, please, please. And they're like, okay, if you come and wash dishes for 2 hours, you can do a 5-minute set. And I was like, okay.
So we can't let you in the bar, but we can get child labor out of
Correct.
you.
Yeah.
totally fair trade. So I would go and I'd wash dishes for 2 hours, and then I'd go in and to do my set. And
It's pretty genius.
Yeah.
Right. We should start doing that.
Honestly.
At the-
Legit.
Hey, you want a couple minutes? Set up these chairs.
Yeah.
Take out this trash.
Yeah. And I did that, and the cool thing was that, like, even though you could still smoke inside the bar, when I would go up, everyone would go outside to have a cigarette.
Ugh. All together.
And then they would come back in after I was done, and I was terrible. Like, I was just awful. I was telling stories about being in 8th grade, and when I was 16, one of the people was like, listen, you got to stop fucking talking about school. None of us are there with you. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. He's like, try to make things relatable. And I was like, cool. So then I started shifting it.
Remember, you get fucked up.
Yeah.
A one night stand.
Yeah, I
love
smoke
that
cigarettes too.
Right, yeah, you start smoking just to
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
you're on there looking like fucking Andrew Dice
I
Clay.
work on the line just like you guys do.
Still wearing your dish apron.
Yeah. I work for this. I work day and night.
So that's sort of like where I started. And then I did like a very hipster thing where like I would go to open mics for like poetry. And I'd be like, okay, you guys, let me tell you this hilarious story about this date I went on. And then I really started getting into like full-blown performing when I was in my earlier, and I guess I don't want to discredit little Hailey's like performancing because she was doing stuff.
She's working.
Yeah. I like performed stand-up comedy in my school's talent show as Martina Antonelli. I created this character.
I love that.
Because,
That is amazing.
yeah, because I love Marissa Tomei, and I was like, oh my god, I love that voice, and I created this whole thing. And anyway, long story short,
Did you wear a wig or?
girl, you won't believe this
I
because of
knew
how
it.
short my hair is. But when I was in high school, my hair was to my shoulders.
Okay.
So like we curled that up and hairsprayed
my
it,
God.
and I had clips and glitter, and I
Do you
did.
have photos of this?
I do.
I want to see it
maybe
so
for
bad.
Christmas, that will be my gift to you guys.
Oh, I would love
And I had these
little card.
Yes. I had
You
these
put it on our fridge.
The first year I did it, I had these giant silver heels with big bling, and I wore these giant flared pants with the striped shirt. The second year I did it, I so deeply regret getting rid of these. They were black stiletto booties that were leopard print. And I wore them tucked into tights with a micro skirt. And I wore this turtleneck that was leopard print that matched the leopard print on the boots.
Perfect.
And I was just like serving.
Just all day.
Fran
Nuh-uh.
Dresser, eat your heart out.
And you were 16?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I started comedy when I was younger sometimes.
Same.
I guess we say that on like every podcast. So I see people like, people I look up to, like, they're like, oh yeah, by the time I was like 21 and I was like on tour and da-da-da-da, I'm like, suck my dick.
Literally. Took my whole ass dick.
But I guess it's different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
The path is
I
different.
hate to
say.
like to bring my life coach part of me into this, but I'll just say that like I think everyone's journey is different, and I would also argue that a lot of people who become stage performing stand-up comedians are actually comedians for a very long time without a stage.
Right.
Like
Obviously.
they're the person, they're the person like telling the stories. They're the person doing the toasts. Like I've stood up in
It's
12
the fat
weddings.
friend.
It's always the fat friend. It's always the fat friend.
The middle
Yeah.
child fat friend.
Yeah.
The only child
Only
fat
child,
friend.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. And so like I'm very
Yeah.
glad you both do it now.
Me too. I'm happy you do it.
Thank you.
I kind of want to talk about the life coaching stuff.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we
Yeah.
did intro you. I'm sorry, Connor introed you very beautifully, eloquently, nailed it.
Yeah.
A bad bitch.
Yeah.
So eloquent.
No, but I think it actually
But
is.
there's so much you do.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Right.
you do stand up, you produce shows, you do this life coaching, and then you also have this retreat that you just started.
Yeah.
This will be the second one you're doing,
Yeah.
right? What are other things you offer the people?
Yes, thank you. But introducing me as a bad bitch, as a Gemini, I relate to that deeply.
True, very true.
So I also teach yoga.
Yes.
And so the retreat, Plan Camp, which is kind of a joke on band camp, is a weekend away where there will be yoga, there will be personal development workshops, there's going to be music and a lot of surprise and delights. There are a few things in the work right now that I can't say because
Sure.
they're not like happening.
Right.
But what I will say is early bird pricing ends at the end of this month. And if you want to go, like lock in the rate by putting your deposit down. Payment plans are available. It's going to be pretty exciting.
And where is it?
It's going to be in Cadillac, Michigan.
Okay.
Um,
And is it camping?
It is not camping. There are cabins. There
Okay.
is space to go outside. You can be in nature.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also indoor plumbing.
I love that.
In bedrooms with doors.
Cool.
Also great.
and
Big fan.
It's September
We might
30th through
come.
October 2nd, so I want to make sure that it's like comfortable and cozy. And this is my second time doing a retreat and my second time at Coyote Crossing Resort.
Mm-hmm.
It has all of the bits of rusticness that you would expect from like that area.
Sure.
But they also have like kale salad.
Kale salad?
Yeah.
I thought you said kill salad. I'm like,
Like, what's that?
I would love to kill
I mean,
salad.
that
Fuck
is a Northern
salad.
Michigan delight. But yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. It's interesting because like my life coaching doesn't feel that far from my comedy, and my comedy doesn't feel that far from my life coaching.
Yeah.
But I would love to.
How
talk
does
about
one become a life coach?
it. Well, many people think you buy one too many crystal bracelets, and then you're just like, I have the
Right.
power to tell you things.
Yeah.
Which I
My
don't
spirit guides told me.
Right.
want, girl. So technically, you don't have to be certified to be a life coach.
Right.
I
sure.
am certified.
Nice.
So there are different certification levels. There are ones that are very expensive, like through Martha Beck. I know it's like a $10,000 program.
Wow.
It's incredibly useful. There's tons of knowledge that you can get there. I went through a different certification program that was virtual and way less money than
Yeah.
$10,000.
Here I was like, I went grocery shopping today. I have my shit together. Haley's like, I'm a life coach. I teach yoga. I love myself.
Well,
I wore heels when I was 16 and rocked it. Like, I'm like, what
Thank
the
you.
fuck?
Thank you. I mean, so here's the truth of becoming a life coach. I had a really brutal childhood. And I
Right.
don't mean to be like, there's 3 women doing a podcast. Let's start with the trauma reel.
Oh,
but,
we love trauma.
okay, perfect.
Trauma
Perfect.
is the
Podcast.
tea, honey, and we sip
Yeah.
it.
But I think the reality is that like everyone has trauma, and feminine people are just sort of like invited to talk about it more often. But
Thank God.
I was crazy bullied and like bad. Like
Yeah.
bad. I was not popular. I didn't really have any friends. There was family stuff that was toxic.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I would have been
Me
your
too.
friend.
Me too.
Well, we're friends now. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
Yeah.
100%.
And what I had the opportunity in the midst of my trauma to get in touch with a few mental health professionals who were like, you deserve better. And I'd be like, yeah, I do feel that way.
I agree.
You say that.
You know what?
I'm not seeing it from anyone else, but I do
Yeah.
feel that way. And then I just like, to be really honest, like a really bad thing happened to me. I went to a party and I got raped, and I'm fine, but like it happened, and
Were you 16?
I was 23.
Oh, shit.
I was 23 and I was with my friend. It was all of my friends. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you look at the checklist of things to do to not get SA'd,
Right.
like, I was with my best friend. It was at her, like, crush's ex-boyfriend's house that she was getting back together with. There were 30 people there, and I knew all of them, and I had known them for years. And statistically speaking, the person who SA'd me, like, fit the profile. Known him for years, totally trusted him, and
You're saying essayed?
sexually assaulted, sorry.
Okay.
I'm speaking
God,
Service
I'm an idiot.
assistant.
But yeah, this thing happened, and like it's sort of like
I'm like, he wrote about you? That's so sweet.
so that it happened, and like I didn't know that it had happened, and I disassociated it from it because I was
Sure.
like, I'm not the type of person to have this happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it was like, oh no, I'm in an elevator with someone, and they breathed close to me, and I had a full-blown panic attack.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got to do something about this. Excuse me. So I started going to group therapy, and I started like online only because I felt really nervous to be in front of people. And then I started doing like in-person group therapy, and then I realized that like I was engaging in my most toxic trait of codependency, where I was like, I will help you through your healing, so I don't have to work on mine.
Right.
Ugh. I could write a book.
Right? And then I was like, cool, I'm better now. I'm in a stable relationship and things are looking up, but I'm still having the chronic stomach issues and all these relationship issues. So I went to therapy. And that's when shit started getting like really good.
Yeah.
And I had always wanted to be a life coach. I remember watching Oprah when I was in 4th grade being like, oh, life coach, like that sounds so fucking stupid, but it's so cool. And I just was like, okay. And then 2018, like a bunch of consecutive, like really rough things happened. Because here's the really important thing. Any life coach or any mental health professional who's like, I've got it all together, run.
Right.
Run away from them.
No,
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel very confident saying I have a lot of practices to help me.
Yeah,
My shit still stinks.
for sure.
I still have days where I really struggle. What I do have now are different patterns.
Right.
I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. Is
No, yeah,
this
that's
is
interesting.
great.
It's something we asked-
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, we'll roast you in 20
Okay.
minutes.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. So I just, so all these like really intense things happened, and I was having one of those moments where I was like really feeling really rough, and I was journaling, and I just wrote down like, what do you have to lose to go after the one thing you've always fucking wanted?
Sure.
Like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Everything I've ever wanted to have happened has happened.
Yeah.
So why not? I found this program, and because when people say $10,000 to me as someone who, has been fucking broke as hell, $10,000, you might as well tell me that I'm going to have to go into the desert, undo like a fucking scarab, and have Tiger come in and go through, and lava, genie, like all of it.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense.
Right.
And I just started slowly building my business. And that's where I am.
That's awesome.
So would you say, I do have questions about
Yeah.
okay, so I'll start with one question. Sorry, I have very bad ADHD. So Question number 1. You said you started going to therapy after that
Mm-hmm.
bad experience happened to you, right?
Mhm.
So what did that look like? Were you going like once a week?
So, that's a very good question. I did technically go to therapy when I was 16 for a couple
Okay.
years. So I was used to therapy, but this was virtual online therapy. And I treated it very much how I treated the live action or the role-playing chat rooms that I used in 1999, where I was there every single night.
I love
Oh, you
chat
were.
rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the first time I started, I would just go and like just watch what other people did because my fear. Oh, I'm just gonna be really vulnerable in front of you guys. My
Yeah,
fear.
Enter the
Welcome.
world.
Yeah. My
Our
fear
28
when I go
listeners.
into no, don't put that.
I'm
There's
sorry.
23 and you know it.
Yeah, 23 and me, bitch.
Yeah, that's right.
So because of my trauma of being bullied, and I had not done any work on that, I was just like, I got through it, and I'm here.
Mhm.
Like my fear always is in any room I go into, how is someone gonna trick me into hurting me? Like I don't talk about this stuff a lot because it's not like super fun, but like there's
Yeah.
a reason why my hair is short.
Okay.
You know, when people grab your hair, pull you to the ground, it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
It's harder to grab you when your hair is shorter.
Sure.
Right.
Sorry. So like I was really nervous to go into the space with like my story.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest gifts, and initially it hurt me a lot, was like when you go into those spaces, there are certain people who are very brave who tell their story. And their stories they make fucking SVU look like a romantic comedy.
Oof.
Like
Right.
they're telling these really intense
That's not
things.
what it is. I always thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I always felt bad because like I didn't remember a lot of it. I had blacked out at the time. I knew the person. It had only happened one time. It wasn't something that happened over the course of years. So I felt for a long time like I should just be quiet. And then there were a couple people who were like, hey, you've been here like a lot. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm scared. And they're like, don't be
Yeah.
scared. And, you know, I got to a place I can tell the story now.
Right.
And there was a time where I could tell the story and like not emote, but what I had done to that version of myself for years, I treated her like a disappointment. I treated her. I called her the girl in the basement. She wasn't even me. She was the girl in the basement, and I othered her and I shamed her and I was so angry at her.
Of course.
And I recently, over the course of the pandemic, because, you know, you can only do so many puzzles before you start working on yourself.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I started doing this work where, like, you bring yourself back to the most intense memories. And you go first as, like, an observer, and you do that as many times as you need to. And then eventually, like, you go back as the hero. Now, you can't interrupt what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But you just, like, you reclaim yourself. Because I fucking left her there.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the more I watched it, the more I became aware of things. Like there were easily 20 some people on the other side of that door.
Right.
Right.
They
Yeah.
heard things. They had to have heard something.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't hear what had happened, they heard the aftermath. And none of them did anything.
Right.
None of them. So I was like, that's very curious. Like, why did I put all this blame on me?
Right.
And then I was like, yo, what a fucking badass. Like, she went through that. The scariest, worst thing that I ever thought could happen to me happened. And who got me through it?
You bitch.
She did.
Yeah.
And I fucking laughed her. Like, what the
Right.
fuck is this?
Yeah.
Right.
You watch Toy Story enough that when you're in the incinerator, you all hold hands and you're going to be there together.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I, like, going back and claiming her and, like, finding those little parts of yourself over and over again. I know that this is a lot of story about talking about trauma, but I think that I take that attitude onto the stage.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for seeing me. Because it's really important to me that everyone in the room feels safe.
Mhm.
Everyone feels included.
Yeah.
And I also like to make people feel good.
Yeah.
Because I think that, like, the other part of it, too, is there's a lot of people who go up on stage and they're saying, like, like, they're just spraying their venom. And that's
Yeah.
fine. That's
Mhm.
cool.
I mean,
I mean,
that's how I do it. No.
yeah. But I mean, when Tom Hardy does it, I love that.
Right.
But I don't know. That's just my choice, I guess.
No, of course.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm just very, mesmerized, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's
a
very,
very inspiring story of
yes.
this. Yeah.
Like, and we all,
the way you worded it too, like the
Yeah.
girl in the like this is a book. I would read that.
Oh,
Like the way
yeah.
you just like yeah, you are a life coach. Like the way you said it was so
Thank you.
beautiful that it could. Yeah.
Thank you.
well, it's like, obviously this is a space. I mean, there's a fucking dick on the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is a space where for us to be silly, but like we our main questions are like, when did you start your period?
Right.
First
We
time
like
your essay. No,
Right.
that's not the normal one.
Right.
But it is. Like,
but yeah, like you know,
do
if,
talk
if
about
people
trauma,
feel comfortable
things
with
that
stuff
like
that, yeah.
fucked
But
you up. And
Can we talk about like the essay thing? Because
Yeah.
part of one of the things that I think will be interesting for us to talk about. So it never occurs to me when people find me hot. It never occurs to me that anyone would find me hot.
Same.
Because I remember having a crush on Tim. I won't say his last name.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
His last name starts with a D. He was in my
Yep.
4th grade class.
Oh,
His
never
hair-
mind. I thought you were talking about in comedy.
No,
I was like, oh,
No, no,
I
no.
know who you're talking
No,
about.
this is a 4th
Never
grader.
mind. Anyone
I
named
thought
Tim.
you were joking.
Yeah. I was very willing, like, maybe you do. Did I tell this story? Him,
I thought this was like a comedy story. Never mind. Don't
So,
know him.
he had
Oh, I know the hot 4th grader.
yes. He had that middle part.
Every
gelled
4th
down
grader
to
is
his
hot.
head. And I had the biggest crush on him. I thought he was so beautiful. In my mind, I played out that scene where Patty Mayonnaise enters to Doug Funny. Like the first time, I just
Yeah.
thought he was gorgeous. And speaking of Doug Funny, I got heavy because the summer between 4th grade and 5th grade, the bullying got really physically violent. And it really scared me a lot. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, it doesn't hurt as bad when I'm thin. So, like, and also if I'm not outside, they can't find me. So I'll just be
Right.
inside. So anyway,
Who are these fucking kids? I'm gonna beat their ass.
Literally.
you know, the thing is, life has taken care of them. Every time I, like,
they're
see
all
one of them
OD'd.
pop up on
Here's how it
Facebook, I'm
goes.
like, it's just fine.
Right. You
It's
look
fine.
miserable.
You have to
Love
share
see
a
it.
Facebook account with your spouse? Okay.
Ah,
Okay.
I was
That is the
legit about
best.
to tell the story about how Carolyn Paul was bullied. She talks about it. They talk about it on stage sometimes. Their bully in high school died of a heart attack or in a
no,
car
it was a car accident, but they said, man with big heart.
man with big heart.
Because he's a
died-
bigger guy.
Yeah. And I'm
thought it
sitting
was-
here thinking like, yeah, that was so awful. But I think having a joint account with your
Two
wife
people who
is
bullied me as a
worse.
kid have died. So I'm like, is there a curse? Did
No,
I
that's
do
just
that?
karma. That's why I never do any. If anyone ever hurts me, that's above me.
Yeah.
That is above me now.
Yeah. The
But
universe will take care of you.
But Tim called me Doug Funny, and he used to run and grab my stomach and like shake it.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine.
Tell them to do better.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like most bullies, they don't do anything other than like observe and report.
Right.
Sure. Like let me, and not even like in a successful way, but like I just got all this negative feedback. Like I was constantly being told, "You're not hot. You're not fuckable. No one would ever want to love you." No, like all this stuff. And so it was like, cool.
Sounds
So-
like they all actually wanted to fuck
That's
you.
what I'm saying, Connor. And so now,
Back in the day when it wasn't cool to like fat bitches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right. And so like
That's their shame.
when I was like 18, I had this boyfriend who like loved me enough to put me on Weight Watchers and was like super dedicated to me being successful. So
Love.
I went from being, I know numbers can be triggering for some people, but I went from being like 220 to 130. And then I was like, oh, I don't need you anymore. So I lost an
Dang.
additional 210 by dumping him.
There you go.
And
Oh, it turns out you suck.
yeah, you suck.
Yeah.
But then it was just like, I was legal, I was hot, and I was funny, and a bunch of people like wanted me, and I was like, what is
Whoa,
this?
settle down.
Like, and so I started
Yeah.
putting weight back on because I was like, this is too much. Everyone's
Right.
gotta calm down. But the thing is,
Right.
it has not relented ever. So I always kind of thought like it never makes sense to me even today when people are like, you're just so hot, and I'm like, thank you, but inside I don't get it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I feel that one.
Like, I feel beautiful. I feel gorgeous. I feel worthy of love. But when people are like, do you want to be in a threesome? I'm like, I look like Molly Ringwald. Not, Holly Gangbang.
That's me.
Molly's hot. That is you. Molly's hot. you
Molly
know.
is hot.
There's
Yeah.
a Molly for everybody. That's the
She's
thing.
like
true.
That's the thing.
not a
You gotta
gangbang
remember
hot.
that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know what kind of. I remember me and my two friends went to Florida, and this guy described all of us And he goes, "You're cute, you're beautiful," and then pointed at me and "You're sexy." And I was like, "What?" But it was like weird. I'm like, what does that all mean? Like, which for one, I was also, always been fat. Just like, who would ever touch me? I'm a disgusting monster.
You're cute, beautiful, and sexy.
Yes.
You're all three.
Tell Mr. Florida. But
I will not be talking to Mr. Florida. I will never talk to Mr.
he
Florida.
might also be dead. I don't know. There's a big
He
chance.
is from Florida. So.
Most likely dead. 100%.
100%. But yeah, it was like, I remember like sitting there, like, what was the difference between all of us that like you made all those little correlate, like,
Well,
I don't know.
and isn't that
You never asked him?
No, I didn't ask why.
Yeah, how dare you speak to a man?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing.
I like didn't know if I should be offended or not. Like,
Right.
I want to be beautiful. Like,
And that's the interesting thing too, is that like as feminine people, so many of us are we take so much value from outside feedback. So relearning to have it be like, oh, I'm wearing this outfit for me because I feel good in it. I feel strong in it. I feel protected in it. I feel sexy in this. Like, this is not for anybody else.
right.
Like, really learning that behavior, really learning that practice is fucking so hard.
Yeah.
Because, I'll be honest, somebody might say something on one of my TikToks, or one of the performers will say something or whatever, and I'll just be like, house of cards, completely collapse, and be like, maybe I am a fat, worthless slug that doesn't ever deserve to be loved.
Right.
I'm very grateful that I have the practices to be like, what's true? When is your period coming? Like, those little things to figure that out.
Right.
But what I think is interesting is that sort of like statement making. It's like, I call it sort of like the Spice Girl effect, where men walk up and they observe and report.
Yeah.
You're like the grungy one. You're like the sporty, campy one. You're like the hipster, whatever fucking leopard one. And that becomes your core identity to this asshole who lives in Florida.
Right.
Statistically speaking, he probably couldn't read.
Oh, no.
No way.
That's not very
He
nice.
could not read.
He could never
He
write
He couldn't
an
read.
essay.
He couldn't read.
This has been, I don't want to talk for the rest of the time. I just want you to host my podcast from now until forever.
Thank you.
But
No, this is Hailey's mother's. No.
I'm Hailey's daughters. Just sounds like a porn, but also a Christian album. I don't know. I, first of all, would love for you to be a returning guest, please, because I think that it's important to obviously talk about poop and dicks, but like this is, I'm honestly just astonished right now. Like I'm totally stumped because I don't have enough of these conversations with people. And it's we've been friends for a while. Yeah, we've been friends. I mean, since I started, so like 5 years on and off, right? And I remember being on your podcast was the first podcast I had ever done, by the way. I didn't even know how to, the microphone was here, and I was here, and I was like, and then, like, I didn't know anything about anything, and just being your friend has been such an honor, but
thank you.
Just to have these conversations, because we meet up time to time. Yeah. And you're always just so like, you have the answers.
Thank you.
It's just like a good energy of like, you'd always give off like a comfort.
Oh, thank you.
Positive.
Thank you.
I am safe.
Yeah. But you just blew my mind with this, like, you left her behind, this person's in a base, like all these like terminologies of like talking about the self and how the self is divided. It is divided into situations and into traumas, into, whatever. And I don't want to speak for anybody else in the room, but lately, especially after a pandemic and after like the years that we just experienced all as a human race, it's felt that way. It's felt like I haven't like truly been like whole. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can I say two things before we fully wrap up?
Oh yeah.
We're not wrapping up soon.
Okay, good.
When did we start?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah. We've got
okay, cool.
Half an hour.
I do. Thank you. Thank you for saying that and sharing that. That means a lot.
I'm just over here like, do I pay you after this?
No,
I'm not sure.
No.
Like, I feel like this is a therapy
Yeah.
session. And I also,
thank you.
Yeah, take my
Take it all.
everything.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That means a lot. Like, I really respect you guys a lot. And I was super honored when I was invited to be on the show because, like, I love the crafts that you make. And I've had you both on my Galentine's Comedy Gala show. And I want to let you know, like, my comedy galas are super important to me. Like I
They're
choose.
amazing.
Thank
amazing
you.
show,
You absolutely
really.
kill it, by
Thank
the way. If you want to 100%
Yeah.
do a quick plug on those
Yeah.
and tell us what they're all about, because
Yeah.
they are very important.
So every year, I have been very lucky to create a partnership with Valentine Distillery in downtown Ferndale. And we put on the Galentine's Comedy Gala, which will be February 12th. Next year, we haven't locked that in, but it's probably going to happen. But it is so the Galentine's Comedy Gala is a all femme, them, and non-binary lineup of comedians. Anyone can come. Masculine folks are welcome. Feminine folks are welcome. Straights, queers, everybody. But it is such a fun show.
It is.
It is such a
It's
fun
one of my favorite
show.
shows I've ever done.
Well, and you
Right.
just did a Pride one.
Yes, and then in June, I partner with them to put on the Pride Comedy Gala. Now, I'd done it at the Ringwald before, and we did do a virtual one that wasn't as successful as I was hoping.
Sure.
Thank you, pandemic. But the Galentine's Comedy Gala raises money for First Step, which is actually where I started getting on the road to recovery from my sexual assault.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that.
yeah.
I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Pride Comedy Gala raises money for the Ruth Ellis Center in Highland Park, which is an incredible cause. This year we've raised for each of those spaces over $2,500 for each of them,
Awesome.
which
Amazing.
is outstanding.
Yeah.
Next year the goal will be 3.
Oh, yeah.
But we're gearing up. We're going to be doing probably another event in October, so keep your
fun.
calendars open. But part of why I invite you too is I don't think the Spice Girl effect is bad when you're like talking about flavors of people, because one of the
Yes.
things I like about my show is I know my style. Not everyone is going to like my style, and that's okay.
And those people are wrong.
But like I know your style, and we're different but similar.
Right.
And I try really hard when I put together my shows to be really thoughtful about representation, to be really thoughtful about content styles, and to try to put something on that if someone goes and they're thinking like, you know, I've always wanted to do this, and suddenly they see somebody who has even just a glimmer of who they are,
Right.
and suddenly they're like, oh, I could do this. I could totally, like, my dream in 5 years is to be doing this and have someone be on there that's like, I remember coming here 5 years ago,
Right.
and I never thought I could do this.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah.
Please give us an extra $150. yes, yes, baby, yes. But yeah, I think just to circle back, I wanted to say this really quick when we were talking about like the going back work. Like, it's hard. It's hard work. And I hope that you know that like I'm sitting here, I lived alone during the pandemic. I was like, cool, I am maxing out my insurance to go to my therapist as often as I want to.
Yeah.
I am reading all these and listening to all these life coaching podcasts. That is the thing I picked. Like I said, I did one puzzle and I was like, fuck that. And that's what I focus on. So I want to be clear that like
I want to work on the puzzle of my soul.
that like you pick and it's okay. It's okay that if it feels different for you, and it's also okay if you're like, I'm not ready. That is okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also okay to say like, one of the tools that I often give my clients is like, you don't have to say anything else other than like what's happening right now. So like there are some times where I'm just like beginning the cycle of depression and I know my pattern, which is to completely recluse.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop talking to everybody. I'm not going to be posting as much. I'm not going to eat very well. I'm going to just kind of like be awake for a certain number of hours, probably less than 4, and then be asleep for a lot of time.
Stop
That's me every
talking
day.
about me.
No, yeah.
So like I interrupt that
like it.
pattern now by like I have my minimum requirements of every day, and every day I have to get physically out of my bed, brush my teeth at least 3 times, which usually forces me to eat at least 3 times because I'm like, if I'm gonna do this work, I might as well do something.
Yeah.
Drink water, and then I have to contact one person that loves me.
Aw.
And then also I need to move my body for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And in that contact, like I've literally texted one of my best friends, G, and I was like, hey, I am feeling very depressed. I do not want you to do anything about that. I just need you to know.
Mm-hmm.
And inside Hailey was like, what the fuck? Shut
Yeah.
the fuck up.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. But what that has empowered me to do is to have accountability.
Yeah.
Because if you grow up codependent, that accountability to someone else, very valuable tool. But I also, there is somebody who's like, are you doing your work? Are you okay? Do you need support? Learning how to accept support from people.
Bitch, I'm about to text you every day.
Please, please. So I just think that, like, I hope, like, I have worked really hard on this, and that's what I love about being a life coach. Because, like, I know I can see you. I see how hard it is, and I see you. I see how hard it is, and I walk into the world all the time, and I know that I don't hang out in the comedy scene a lot. Like, some of it is just I'm protecting my energy, because sometimes I'm around people, and I'm just like, oh, God, this hurts so bad, because I just know you need this.
Right.
Like, what you need is someone to be like, let's make some chicken soup.
Right.
Like, let's make chicken soup together.
I love chicken soup.
And I just think that, like, being your journey
Can it be chicken tortilla?
Absolutely. It better be. And the last thing I'll just
Might
say.
be a stew.
Yes. I'm open to anything. Recipe.com.
Right.
Just the last thing I'll say is if you are somebody who has struggled with SA or sexual assault, sexual harassment, molestation, any kind of physical, emotional, sexual trauma, that is your journey to go on. And you don't ever have to tell anybody. That is your story. That is yours, 100%. And I want you to know, because it has happened to me, it's not often a thing that just happens once in a life. Like, I have been sexually assaulted multiple times. I have had to work very hard to, like, say that out loud, because there's a part of me that's like, I'm supposed to be the bad bitch. Like, why did this keep happening?
Because men are monsters. Also.
Well, there's a system, right?
Yeah.
There's a system that allows monsters. Like,
I don't know a single person in my life that hasn't been at least harassed at like a minimum. Like,
And let's talk about this. I'm at a party. There's 20 some people in a basement, and a girl goes in more drunk than they've ever seen her. I don't drink in general. I went to this party and I let myself feel safe. Is it okay that I'm talking about this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Okay.
is great. I can't stress it enough how
Oh, cool.
this is the least I've ever talked.
Yeah,
but I love listening.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's all,
Yeah.
So girl.
We're going to name the episode Hailey's Trauma. Go on.
Hailey's trauma. And let's wrap up with talking about which My Little Pony cutie mark we would have. But I just, like, it really struck me the first time I had the memory where I was like, okay, here's this person who doesn't really drink but is totally shithoused.
Yeah.
And I absolutely initiated making out with this person. I absolutely initiated making out. But I said no. I said no more than one time, and then I blacked out. And I was in a bathroom when the making out started, and I was moved into a shower, and these people left that room, and they went out into the other room. And then when it was done, the person, his recently ex-girlfriend, or like maybe still girlfriend, like showed up and ripped the shower door open. And that's when I started coming to. And the person, he went out and he laid down on a couch and pretended to be asleep. And I just went hysterical.
Yeah.
I started crying. I started repeatedly saying, I'm so sorry. Like, I knew something bad had happened, but I was like I was like a wild animal. I can't hear it. Like, when I go back, I've tried a couple times specifically to hear it, but I just know it was like, it was more of a vibration right here.
Yeah.
And it was so raw and loud, and they all heard that. And, like, I've been at places where that kind of stuff happens. I can't be quiet.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and they all just sat there and they let it happen. And 2 weeks later, I was hanging out with my best friend at the time, and she took me to this field, and they were all playing disc golf with that person. And I just, like, at the time I was like, I must have been wrong.
Right.
It's a story that a lot of people can tell. And it's, you know, what I love about going back and getting her from the basement is, like, I feel like every time we go back and get her or get them or get him, every time you do that, there's someone else who's beginning their shadow work, and they're person, their other part of them, gets a little closer to them. That's what I think. Like,
sure.
all the work I do, I always feel like karmically I'm helping everyone that I'm connected to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, isn't it crazy how, like, whenever, like, someone mentions, like, hey, he did that, everyone's always, well, don't ruin his reputation.
Right.
And that's always more like, oh, you can't do that, instead of, hey, how about don't rape people? Like,
Right.
and it's always, everyone's so worried about, oh, but what if what if something, that's not like, they're always so worried about the man's reputation compared to,
Well, Connor, traditions are traditions.
Safety.
And
Right.
you could
It's the
just
American way.
respect
It's not
them.
American, the world, this is the whole world.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It just makes me so mad every time.
Of
Yeah.
course.
And I feel guilty sometimes. Like, I think that's another thing, like, forgiving myself for, like, not saying anything.
Right.
Because, like, I didn't
Right.
say anything. And I still don't say his name, like, in public. I totally could.
Right.
I
But
totally
that,
could.
we have that fear on us. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're ruining his life.
Right.
Like, how could I do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Because, you know, like, I don't know anything about him, but you know, I know I've met his parents.
Right.
It's complicated. And I also feel like there are the people in the basement whose names I sometimes think about, like,
right.
at whomever on Facebook,
Yeah.
like, hey guys, what's the most traumatic thing you ever witnessed in a basement? Do you want
Right.
to talk about
Let's
it?
talk about it at
Yeah.
a party in
Yeah,
2000,
like, it could be fun.
whatever.
It could be
Yeah.
fun. Ice luge in the backyard.
Right.
But I just hope that, like, I obviously feel very comfortable talking about it, and there are parts of it that get very emotional for me, but, like, I just hope that if you're listening to this, or if you're in this room right now and you're thinking, like, wow, excuse me, something happened to me and I've never dealt with it, you can deal with it whenever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can never deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, on the other side, though, having that little strong queen sitting next to me, I'm happier than I have been in a long time.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
What's your
Applause.
opinion on? Yeah, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you. To everybody. Thank you.
What is your opinion on not dealing with it though? Like, don't you think that that's a little
Well, I think so.
suffocating? You know?
Well, I mean, I saw what it did to me not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Like, you disassociate your relationships are always toxic, partially because it's like the Batman effect. Batman was never going to have a successful relationship
Right.
because he
Too
told
many secrets.
he told Alfred that,
Mhm.
like, he was Batman, but he wasn't really telling anybody else.
Mm.
So, like, when you withhold from people, and it's totally fair to withhold, right?
Mhm.
I haven't had this conversation with you guys,
Mhm.
so it wasn't until we were in the space to be in front of thousands of people
Right.
that I was like, let's do this
You know
now.
what?
Right.
But,
I'm gonna
like,
share my story.
but, like, you get to pick and choose when you say your
Oh.
truth.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, first date, you go, so this is every traumatizing thing
Right.
that's happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think that, like, what I experienced when I stopped disassociating from it, when I knew fully what had happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I said it out loud to myself, it was the last time I felt the smallest. And every moment after that, the more I say it, the bigger I feel again. It's like a cage got wrapped around me, and my wings got really small so I could fit. And it's like now I feel myself get big. And when I've been assaulted since then, in various ways, like, I feel the bars hit. But, like, that's when you talk about being a bad bitch. Like, again, my shit is not perfect. There are still days that are hard. I still take my licks. I still have my struggles. I don't have all the things I quote unquote want. It's still, like, in it. But I have practices to be like, ooh, I feel this bar. Okay. Where am I? Who do I need? What do I need?
Yeah.
Puff.
Sure.
Like, physically making my chest feel bigger so I don't round in.
Mm.
Right.
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 I'm just always slouching. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I tried it.
Yeah,
But-
it's because you're a traumatized, sad bitch.
I'm a big repressor.
Yeah.
I mean, I really am. There's
Yeah.
like, my mom's always saying, like, what happened to you? I'm like, I mean, the times where, like, my sexual assault, I was blacked out. So I'm like, doesn't count. I'm like, it still counts.
Well,
It's,
and
like,
your
somewhere in
body and your
there.
brain
Yeah.
still absorb that.
Right.
Just because
I don't have, like, the detailed, like, memory, like,
Correct.
doesn't mean it's not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and I think a lot of people do that. They're like, well, they're not necessarily even ignoring it. It's just not even.
Okay. Really quick.
There.
I want to say something.
The mic's out of the stand.
It is. It's in my
Uh-oh.
hand. I can't help it. Your trauma is valid. Your
Thanks.
trauma is valid and it's real.
I'm gonna cry.
there is not a fucking trauma Olympics.
Right.
And how badly do you really want that gold medal? Right?
Right.
Like, one of the things, I don't watch SVU. I know I made a joke about it earlier.
Yeah.
I used to watch it a lot, but I stopped watching it because I realized I was in my apartment by myself and I was listening to a woman beg, please don't hurt me.
Yeah.
And I just like stopped and I like stopped the TV and I was like, what am I letting into my house?
Right.
Like, I won't watch Fox News because I don't want that in my house. Why am I having this in my house?
Right.
Nobody should have to beg.
Well, we don't watch it because it's wrong and false, and
Right.
it only
No.
speaks to a certain audience. Go on.
Right. Yeah, you get it. You get it. You get it.
Right.
But there's layers there. And I just think that, like, we've been given these horrific narratives about sexual assault and sexual abuse where it's, you know, she lived out in the country and was constantly raped by her brothers and cousins and fathers and uncles for years and
Right.
years and years and years and years. And now she got out. And that's the person that deserves to get better.
Right.
Right?
That is
Like, being someone that worked at an ice cream stand for one summer and, you know, your boss would call you sweetheart and, like, would kiss your cheek every day, that is trauma.
Yeah.
That's fucking
Like,
gross.
and that is worth being talked about. Being blacked out drunk at a party.
Damn, the ice cream was good.
Right? Like, being blacked out drunk and being sexually assaulted, that is valid. That's just as
Right.
valid as the ice cream owner kiss, as being sexually assaulted systematically by your foster dad for 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that if we take the part of rape culture that we don't have time to get to because we're still stuck at square one, is like, it's all valid and it's okay. And it's okay to say, like, yeah, maybe it wasn't as penetrative, but it still is valid.
Right.
So I'm always very trepidatious and careful because I don't want you to think that I'm like, you have to deal with this now.
Right.
But I hope that hearing that invites you to consider one of the baseline most important things that I hope, if anyone is listening to this for anything, these are the most important words. You are a good person. You deserve good things. Act accordingly.
God damn it, I'm gonna cry. I swear not to cry.
It's okay. It's okay.
God,
You're
I love
okay.
you.
I love you.
I'm crying straight out of my puss. So.
Right. Right. Like, you are a good person. You deserve good things. Act accordingly. When I heard that, it was on TikTok. Like,
You should do the sticky note thing. I should do the sticky note thing. We should all do the sticky note thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure
the sticky
you
note
have
thing?
sticky notes all over your house that tell you
Oh yeah.
like
I try to do
affirming-
shit like that, and then I like literally, I don't even look at it. Like, I have like things on my
Take it
phone.
down,
I
rip
put
it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is.
I have a friend who's a therapist,
Mhm.
and actually a friend who we recently spent time with in New York. I noticed that she
Yeah.
had it around her apartment,
Yeah.
and then when I go see my therapist friend, it's funny because she is the therapist, but she is like the most, kind of traumatized person I
Yeah.
probably know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those make the best therapists.
And has these notes all over the place, and it's like on her desk as she's talking to other people about their trauma and their experiences and trying to help them fix themselves. She's like got sticky notes all over that say like,
Yeah.
you deserve love and you
Yeah.
deserve this or you da-da-da, and I'm just like, this is fucking crazy. Like,
Right.
snake eating its own tail, kind of
Yes.
like, and very much eye-opening to the therapist is sad too,
Yeah.
like.
Right.
And that just kind of blows my mind anytime I see those things. But we should do the sticky note.
And what is that? They say never have a therapist that doesn't have a therapist.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she's gone through 3.
And
Also the funniest person I know. So
oh, hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And just to circle back, like, one of
Connor,
the things
sorry,
I like
yeah.
about a lot of
Connor's like, when did I become a therapist?
comedians-
I don't even
could.
own a
Wow,
notepad.
bitch.
I wanted when I was little. I wanted to.
Hmm.
I did. And
Mm.
then I'm like,
Still
oh,
can.
Yeah.
college? No.
Right. Oh, algebra?
Right.
Fuck
I
outta
don't need
here.
math. I thought I just. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't work
Yeah.
out.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, we're doing things.
We're all
We're doing it.
badasses.
We really are.
Yeah.
Empowerment.
Yeah.
One
I
of the
just
things
have to
I
yell it.
think that's a common thread between all comedians is trauma.
Yeah.
Because, like Cara Burnett said it, like, comedy or trauma plus time equals comedy, right?
Sure.
And I think it's interesting to watch because I think that's like what I started doing. I started talking about my bullying when I was really early in the game. And then I watched how that hurt people.
Yeah.
when I would talk about it and I would watch these people who like they had come and they decided that they liked me, and well, when they weren't on their smoke break, and so when I would say something bad had happened to me, I watched them like get scared, and I was like, ooh, my codependency doesn't like that.
Yeah.
So I shifted and I started realizing like, oh, I've got to do this other work to take care of me. But I think that like watching comedians talk about their trauma on stage, like Maria Bamford is one of my most favorites because she's
Love
like,
her.
She's a queen in this house.
this is raw
Yeah.
and spicy.
She's a comedy god.
Yeah.
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 I recently saw her live.
Oh yeah.
I left dumbfounded. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I probably shed a tear at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was so fucking good.
And
What a lunatic.
God. I
God.
love her.
Love her to death.
Margaret Cho, like her
course.
earlier work when she would talk about her family and like,
Sure.
I just think that like that's my fucking favorite stuff.
Yeah.
Personally.
The
I
good
know. I was
stuff.
like, yeah, I love like it's kind of dark. It is deep, has more
Right.
meaning, and then some people are just like, I hate that. I just want my silly knock knock jokes.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Fuck those people.
mean, I get there's people have different tastes, but like yeah, there's like certain. It just always blows my mind when people is like, no, like what? It's not shallow enough. Like
Yeah.
it's just weird to me.
No, I grew up like, you know, I was in my late teens, early 20s when Dane Cook was very popular, and I
Yeah.
have nothing against Dane Cook.
I have everything against Dane.
But I mean, Dane Cook wasn't talking about anything.
Right.
You know, he was just
Yeah.
Stuff and stuff.
full disclosure. I literally thought he was Ryan Reynolds. I thought Dane Cook and Ryan Reynolds were
Were
the same person
I could see that.
for a very long time until
Really?
I do
yeah.
that with like all like the famous white straight
Yeah.
men that are like all this kind of that look.
I thought you were going to say famous white
Wait.
supremacists.
All those famous white supremacists look the same.
I mean, they
with
do.
the white hoods on.
Yeah.
And, like, you can't tell the difference.
The moment I knew they were different was when Ryan Reynolds was engaged to Alanis Morissette and he was in her music video, and I was like, what's Dane Cook doing there? And somebody was like, girl, Dane Cook's only like 5'7", and I was like, oh, they are two different people?
That's so funny.
There you go.
I love that.
The more you know.
I've had that a lot. I do that with people that don't even look alike. It's just something about them and their
Right.
name.
Yeah.
I'm just like, those are the same people. I can't think of a good example, but it happens to me a lot.
It's more like you could care less about like
Famous people.
famous
So, like,
people.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God. I have to talk about what happened at this gay show that we did. That
Oh
was
my
the
God.
worst thing I could have done at a gay show, I think.
Talk about trauma.
Yeah, it's the most recent.
let's
Let
go
it
through
out,
this.
sweetie.
Walk
You go
me
get that
through.
girl from the basement. You go get that girl from the gay
that
comedy
bar.
show.
Yeah, get that girl from New York. So it's like all older gay cis white men, and there's maybe like 10 dudes in that bar, and they played this little game before where it's like guess the artist of the song or guess the song. And that fucking Born This Way song came on, but not like the Born This Way chorus, or was
Yeah.
it? I don't even remember. It was a part of the song, and I went up, I'm like, Miley Cyrus. Everyone was like,
Bunch of gay men died that day.
Yeah.
and they hated me during my set. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a correlation
She
between
went up
those
there
two
and played
things.
the game and then closed out the show. She was
I was
like
supposed to close the show, but it was
Yeah.
like a 2-hour long show, and it was very late.
It
There's
was.
drag queens in
Yeah,
between,
yeah,
and I feel like they just didn't like me after that Lady Gaga thing.
Wait, you know, that's not nice. That's not nice of them. Can I ask a question?
What?
Have you forgiven yourself for that?
No, I don't think I ever will.
How
Why?
does forgive herself for anything?
I know.
What would it take for you
That's
to
why
forgive
you're
yourself?
apologizing
accidentally kicked the dog
constantly.
when I was like 7, and I've never forgiven.
Connor, what would it take for you to forgive yourself?
God, I don't know. A whole new.
Do you want me to coach you for a second? Do you guys want to see
Sure.
what coaching
God,
looks
am I gonna
like?
cry again? I think
No, I
I
don't
am.
think
can't
you're, I
wait.
don't think you're gonna
Cry,
cry.
bitch.
Do you feel safe with this?
We need
Do you
the
feel safe with
content.
this?
Yeah.
Hashtag Connie's tears. Okay, go ahead.
I'll be selling them on the
Okay.
Patreon.
That's right.
Okay, so let's think about
Along
this.
with your farts. Okay, sorry, I'm done.
Let's think about this as if you're telling the story that somebody else did this. So let's pretend I went to New York.
Mhm.
I'm telling you this story. I went to New York and I was doing this show. And I went up in the middle of like this musical like query trivia thing. And it was Born This Way. And I really thought it was Miley Cyrus. And I wanted to play the game because I wanted to connect with the people out there. Because I'm
It's true.
planning on moving my life there. And I want to feel connected. I want to feel community. So I got up on stage. And everybody looked at me and I was like, it's Miley Cyrus. And there was dead silence. No one laughed.
Actually, everyone laughed. There was like, what?
At me.
No.
At you.
Yeah.
And then,
not with.
and that was the only laugh I got when I went to my set.
Basically.
What do you have to say to me now that I've shared my experience?
Girl, you better get out of here. No, I'm kidding. Right, how dare you? Are you even
Call
gay?
yourself a bisexual.
Right, yeah.
During
You're
Pride
straight.
Month.
You're taking your bi card away. No, it'd be fine. And
I would be fine. Why?
forgive you,
Tell me
me.
why it's fine.
I forgive you, me.
Thank you. Thank you for speeding through that. Tell me why it's fine.
Because it's not a big deal, and I'm never going to see any of them again, and it's fucking songs.
Let's start with the first thing. It's
Oh,
not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not a big. Did you hurt anybody? Like
Well,
literally,
I mean-
did you hurt anybody?
Only emotionally. No.
Yeah.
No.
So like, it was like a silly mistake, right?
yeah.
Is it okay to make silly mistakes?
It sure is.
It sure is, right?
That's my whole. I'm full of silly mistakes.
Right? It's a silly mistake. Do you think that it actually is probably a great story? Because I can imagine 4 of those bitches being like, girl, shit.
It was like
This song makes me think of
Right.
this fucking Home Depot looking bitch came up on stage and was like, Miley Cyrus.
She did not.
And then,
I
you
feel
know,
like I heard a no. I think I remember hearing a no. Like she did not just say Miley Cyrus.
yes. So they're probably telling that story with such great joy because they're
Yeah.
like,
I'm glad that they got something out of that night from me.
so you don't have to do it right now, but I just invite you to perhaps to consider that maybe it was just a silly mistake and totally something that you
was a
could
silly
forgive
mistake.
yourself.
I guess I wasn't like, I was kind of embarrassed a little bit. Not even like embarrassed is even the right word. It's kind of like, oh man, the gays don't like me here.
And that is
Disappointed,
something.
I guess.
But I
that's
think
the
we could
best word.
all take what Hailey's trying to do with 2 comedians in the room.
I know.
Right.
I'm like, this is actually really good advice. And
This
I was
is
like blushing and
beautiful.
laughing
No,
because that's
this
how
is
I
great.
handle anything
Right.
like this.
But I also think that
We
like
could take it with bombing, I was going to say. Excuse me to
100%.
interrupt
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Because Connie and I are very much divas when we don't do well. But I think that
Because that barely
is connected
happens.
to our trauma
Right.
and our inner child, you
Right.
know? Like,
right. It's like, oh, no,
not
we did
doing
bad.
well enough.
For
Yes.
bad curls.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
And then it gets
nothing-
hot.
Yeah, and now we're scissoring.
And the truth be told, like for comedians, nothing is better than getting your dick sucked on stage.
Obviously.
Literally
God.
dick
When
sucked
the
on
audience
stage.
is like,
Yeah.
Come
and
on,
they just
me.
want more.
Yeah.
And like
then you
they're
just
kind of
keep
bummed.
doing
You
it
can see
more.
people be like, I don't want her to get off stage. Like
Ugh,
Yeah.
it's so.
Ugh.
So
that's
like
that's the best one.
That's the best one.
I don't know if this is because for the first 2.5 years of my comedic career, I literally was like 14 and the bartender, everyone would go outside. They
Right.
would go outside and
You
have
turn off
cigarette
the lights and
Yeah.
So it would just be me with the mic like, okay, you guys, so isn't Miss Tolsteika so weird? It's wild. Like, I told my parents I want to get my retainer removed. Do you guys get, anyway.
Honestly,
Right.
I had a retainer and I would love that. I'd be like, yes,
Thank
retainer
you.
queen.
Retainer
You're my peer
queen.
group, right?
Yeah.
Most of the people in that bar had about 7 teeth altogether, so they were
Right.
like, you have teeth still?
Right.
I digress to say that, like, the offering that I like to give is that, like, going up is enough. Like, there is a version of you who sat in an audience and was like, I would like to do that, but I'm going to wait. And she is up on stage with you, and she's just fucking jazzed to be there. Or they are up on stage with you, and they're just fucking jazzed to be there. Or he is up on stage with you, just jazzed to be there.
Yeah.
And when you bomb, like, I love bombing.
Yeah.
Like, I love bombing. I love
Sometimes I do too.
because
I guess it
sometimes.
depends. Like, if there's a crowd, like, I don't really want to connect with all these conservative pieces of shit with their
Yeah.
Trump flags. Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they don't like me.
Sometimes it breathes life right back into you, though.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
that, like, for me, this is my experience. When I bomb as a comedian, I love it because I'm like, I get to decide right now. What if I'm doing it just to have my emotional dick sucked? Is that as valuable as doing it as I'm doing it because I care about this, because I like this, and because at the end of the day, like, I want this.
Right.
And if I didn't want this, I would be like, that hurt my feelings. I'm going to go inside.
Yeah.
But
Is that your inner voice?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. She
It's
is
Mr.
on-
Hanky from.
Yeah. She's like sucking helium, waiting for her chance to say something.
Right.
You've been talking so serious. Can't you just calm down? But
I'm
like,
a simple child. I was like, do the voice again.
but really, like, do you
I'm
want
not sad anymore.
Yeah. I'm not crying anymore. Do you have puppets?
I'm not gonna be weird, but yeah.
And I brought them. Where did the doll touch you?
But really,
We're
though,
trying a segment, or we're starting a segment. It's called Hailey's Trauma, and you're bringing the puppets, and I can't fucking wait.
Hey kids, today we're gonna talk about ouchies with cigarettes. But no, seriously, like when you're like, oh, I'm not doing this just to get my emotional dick sucked. I'm doing this because I love this, and it's worth going up again and bombing worse, and it's worth going up again and bombing worse, and it's worth going up again and nailing it because I've gotten better.
Yeah.
Because I let part of my ego relax to open up to invite the audience in a little bit more.
Sure.
I'm all about boundaries. I'm all about consent. I make a joke about that. I love that. It's my favorite joke that I do. But I think it is important that you are doing it to an audience.
Right.
And like it's part of them too. From my perspective. It doesn't have to be everyone's perspective.
No, I
Yeah.
agree.
You literally nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The part about the person who wanted to do it for so long is up there, and she's jazzed to just be up there. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I need that tattooed onto my fucking forehead.
And I
have
definitely
to
need to be
remember
reminded
that.
of that. Like,
Yeah.
before comedy, I had fucking nothing. Like, I didn't do anything.
Right.
I was like, that's
Well,
weird,
and
man.
just like, you probably wanted to do it for a long time too, or like you were always the funny friend.
I was just
or
always a funny
whatever.
friend, but I never
Yeah.
thought, like, who'd want to listen to this dumb old hag?
Right,
you
right,
know?
right. Well, I grew up watching stand-up since
Oh,
I was like
before.
15, and I would like
Yeah.
watch stand-ups and
Yeah.
be like, I don't know why, but I want to try. I want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
it just always was. I was a magnet to it, you know.
Right. And y'all said at the very beginning of this podcast, we wish we started when we were earlier. Girl, you're here now.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
time you go up there, your inner teenager is like, yes.
Right.
You
Yeah.
better work, you fucking whore.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Tell that.
Say
bitch
Miley
out.
Cyrus from the base.
Yeah, literally. Well, thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
So much. We
Yeah.
can't wait to have you back.
I would love
I
to.
will get creative and we'll think of a segment because this is awesome. We also have a brand new phone number. Anybody listening or
yeah.
watching, we
A
have
new
a
phone
new
number.
link
Ugh.
that you can find in our link tree on our Instagram. You can go there, record a little voice message for us, ask us any questions,
And we're
if you're
going to
seeking
send it to
advice.
Haley. And
And we're going to send it to Haley, and then we're going to start Haley's trauma, and you're going to get your answers from a puppet voice.
Oh boy, this is a doozy.
I mean, a lot of
But
times
we
we're going to be
will-
answering the questions, unfortunately.
No, that's fine.
I got some good answers.
We have
Yeah.
a lot of ideas in the works. We're going to do lesbian pool party. I did get the kiddie pools. I bought 3 kiddie pools.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
It's
Lesbian
happening.
Pool party.
Yep, we're going to do lesbian pool party. You'll
Or
see
cut
Stella
that. That's gonna be
again.
the theme song.
We started a conversation about each other's mothers merch. We're thinking about it.
Yeah.
I want to make
Hey,
some
how
Stella
many,
merch.
let us know. How many people would buy it exactly? And what are
Yeah.
your sizes?
Yeah.
What's your
would you
favorite
like,
color?
too? Like, are you looking for a cozy, like a mom hug sweatshirt?
Ugh, that would be amazing.
I mean,
looking-
probably. A lot of the people listening probably have a lot of trauma. So
Probably
we're
Yeah.
probably
we'll
be
make a
stickers.
weighted blanket
Stickers.
with
Yeah.
our and stitch our fucking name into it.
Right.
We do like
Oh,
an
it's gonna be
each other's
great.
mother's support animal.
Right.
Yeah, the little vest that you put on like a dog.
It's a chia pet.
It's a Gia
And
pet.
it's our pussy, and the bush is the
Yes.
chia.
Thank you, Haley.
You're welcome.
Such a
Beautiful.
genius. Where can we find you?
You can connect with me. I have my website, Z Hailey Coaching, ZHAILEY coaching.com. You can find me on IG and Twitter, at Z Hailey, and on TikTok, the Z Hailey.
Mm-hmm. Go to
Get into
TikTok and watch
TikToks.
Haley
Yeah,
be
killing
so
on TikTok,
hot.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been Johanna Madronda,
I've been Connor Mead.
and this has been our episode. Thanks for listening, guys. We love ya. Mwah.
Like Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis.